Never a dull moment when it comes to the video games industry. Of course, this time it is Sony that is on the back pedal. The news of the PS5 Slim actually not doing as well as expected, not recovering the costs, and could have detrimental issues and woes for Sony is starting to emerge. But of course, we'll get into that a little later. But first, welcome to another Chaos Lounge video where we cover Xbox, PlayStation, and just gaming news in general. So, with that out the way, I think we can get started on our first point of news. S.T.A.L.K.E.R over here seems to be doing the round right now, especially where an update has just come. Now, as you can see, it's a 272 megabyte update. Now, this was the actual placeholder that's there to trigger the actual download. Now, do keep in mind that these trigger downloads that they have in place can actually cause issues for early access and stuff like that. So if you are having problems, do consider, at the time, removing and then reinstalling. It might be needed because that's what happened with me on Starfield. But as you can see here, S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl pre-order bonus is now available to download via the Xbox app. Looks like the game could be releasing soon. So this is the pre-order bonus. And yeah, it's currently doing the rounds. Everyone's excited, especially after the difficulties this game has gone through with what's been happening in Ukraine, which is awful. It's nice to see that this game is finally coming out. A lot of effort has gone into making this game. A lot of people have, lost their lives in the process of this game being developed. So, hearts go out to all those affected. But hopefully they'll be able to portray the heart and soul that they put into this game, and it will be a success. This next one, Hideo Kojima, is of course the mastermind when it comes to creating something that's just completely different, wild, out there. We've seen it with Death Stranding, we've seen it with other games. He loves to create something new. The genius developer Hideo Kojima describes the Xbox OD exclusive as a unique idea and a different experience from his previous games. And he loves to tinker around with these sorts of things. Now, as you can see here, for all players and Screams, a Hideo Kojima game, Sophia Lillis, Udo Kier, and Hunter Schafer, and it's had 25 million views already. That's insane. Now, for those of you that haven't seen the trailer, it's a very simple teaser trailer just showcasing the graphical art style of what's happening. It looks like a psychological horror game. It looks really interesting in what we've seen. There's no real gameplay, but I'm very intrigued on where it's going, and it seems over 25 million people are also as well. So hopefully this game, we'll see more of this in the next update, maybe at the Developers Direct. I think it might be a little too soon for the Developers Direct for this, but at the end of the day, one can hope, right? One can hope. So this is actually currently right now, everyone's going crazy with this one. Star Citizen truly outdoes itself with a $48,000 bundle for its most loyal whales. We live in a society where virtual spaceship DLC can cost more than most people's annual salary. And what this bundle actually has is about, I think, 20 ships or 30 ships that you can buy that are high value, that are, some are actually like manned by like 20, 30, 40 people. It's ridiculous. Star Citizen has been that kind of game that's memed is constantly memed. It's actually playable right now. You can jump into it from as little as I think 30 or 40 pounds to be able to get in and play within the sandbox. There is a single player version of the game coming called Squadron 42. That's separate to what Star Citizen is, which is, a never-ending sandbox that they're just going to iterate more and more as time goes on. But the Squadron 42, we should be seeing something about that this year, maybe even a potential release date for late this year or, mid next year. So that one should be cool. If you haven't seen the trailer to Squadron 42, I highly recommend it. It looks really good. But, Star Citizen, truly out, $48,000 for DLC, that's wild. That's really wild. And the sad thing is, well, the crazy thing is, people are actually paying for it. That's even more wild, right? Now, one of the things that I've always said that I wish Starfield did was had a multiplayer, had something where we could join other players, even if it was just co-op, and go explore together, man ships together. You know, maybe add a bit of PvP. If even if there's not even PvP, add like more encounters as you're flying along. Hopefully we'll get to see something like that in the future, and it may be something that in my stream that someone suggested, a Starfield MMO. I think that could be really awesome, but one step at a time. Todd, what do you think? So this is probably the big news of the actual video. No PS6, or Sony may go with a less powerful Xbox Series S type next gen console. Probably not that low, we'll see. As the game and console sales are not enough to cover R&D for hardware if Sony doesn't change their business model. Even pacing with PS4 is not sustainable, according to Japanese markets experts. And we see over here, Toyo Securities highlights this issue as well, saying that this will become an even more of a problem in the next generation of consoles, suggesting that Sony should stop seeking increased performance, which leads to increased development costs and release a smaller system with bigger mass market appeal. Now, I've been saying this for a while now, and if we actually go into the actual article, I've said this for a while, that as Sony and Microsoft are constantly pushing for that 4K 60, pushing for that high fidelity, they're not going to get the high fidelity and the 4K and the 60 at the same time. I think they should, start reining it in a little bit and just get the performance there. Most people care for the performance. Leave the super duper graphics for PC. Just get that performance and the high resolution for console. Even if the graphics have to be scaled back a bit, it's fine. It's not that big of a deal. But as you can see here, PlayStation 5 Slim is selling well, but not well enough. 100 million units won't be enough to recover development costs next generation. Now, if 100 million units isn't going to be enough for this, where does that leave the PS5 Pro? Is that now a foregone conclusion? If they can't even recover their costs for the Slim, and considering Sony's financial situation isn't exactly the best, where does that actually leave them? Where does that actually put them? This isn't a good place for Sony. The PlayStation 5 Slim seems to be selling well compared to the original model, but it seems like it is still not enough to outperform the PlayStation 4, according to a new report. As reported by Games Industry Japan, securities firm Toyo Securities held a seminar on December 27th to discuss PS5 sales. According to the firm, Sony will sell around 18.5 million units in 2024, which isn't too shabby, missing its target of 25 million units, which is not great. While it was previously assumed the console was not selling enough due to manufacturing issues, the reality seems to be different. As while the PlayStation 5 Slim is selling well, its sales are not enough to outperform the PS4's sales in a similar time frame. Now, there's multiple reasons for this, mainly because games are now coming to both PlayStation and PC. We're seeing Helldivers, we're seeing Concord. Both of those are going to be on PC day and date. So less reasons to actually buy a console. We're seeing it with Xbox as well, where games are going onto PC and console day and date. So for those people that have a PC, there's less and less reason for them to invest. But also, there's just so many consoles you can buy, right? And the generation that's, us, I guess, or the older generation from me that used to be into gaming, some of them are moving out of gaming, but also, the cost of living is just going higher and higher. People can't afford to buy these consoles anymore. With the PS5 Pro, being expected to be around $700-800, that's crazy. Like it's going to be out of loads of people's price range. It's heading towards like $1,000 at this point, and that's never a good sign for a console that should be a set-top box that can just play the games and be happy. So not good. Still, it is doing well, and it's likely SIE, Sony Interactive Entertainment, interim president Hiroki Totokoi will highlight them in the company's next financial results. While sales not hitting their targets, even with the success of the PlayStation 5 Slim, is not a major issue now, it may be a much bigger issue in the next console generation, which isn't all that far off now. Now, why is that important? Because the next generation console is going to cost even more. If it's going to cost even more, it means that they need to sell even more to recover the R&D cost. It's not just about selling 50 million units anymore. They need to sell 100 million. And, with the Slim, 100 million isn't enough. So can you imagine how many they'd have to sell with the PS5 Pro or the PS6? We're talking somewhere around 200 million almost. That's really crazy numbers here. According to Game Industry Japan, conversations with third parties revealed how difficult it is to recover the current huge development costs with an installed base of 100 million units, meaning even if they sold 100 million PS5 Slims, it still wouldn't be enough for them to break even. As even porting titles to Xbox, consoles, and PC doesn't help all that much, in their report, Toyo Securities highlights this issue as well, saying that this will become even more of a problem in the next generation of consoles, suggesting that Sony should stop seeking increased performance. Obviously, the more you push the consoles, the more you push the hardware to do better, provide better fidelity, it's going to cost more. A 4090 graphics card is still worth around £1,500 on its own after all. If they're trying to aim for something similar to that, it's going to cost them loads. And then trying to sell that at, say, $600, the loss on that unit is ridiculous, which leads to increased development costs and release a smaller system with bigger mass market appeal. As the massive Insomniac Games leak last month revealed, development costs are going out of control for AAA games and are hardly sustainable. They're talking about Spider-Man, costing like 315. I think the Spider-Man 2 is 390 million. It's not sustainable. These are AAA Avenger style movie, price brackets here. With SIE's leadership change, it will be interesting to see what the company will do to change the situation and how it will impact the gaming industry as a whole. I think the next generation, we may actually see a weaker version of the PlayStation, one that's lower scaled, and then they're going to try and put one at a higher scale. The lower scale one will naturally be a really nice entry point for those people that want to play PlayStation exclusives, and then actually shift a lot more of those consoles, just like we see with the Series S as well, where in certain territories, the cheaper platform is just doing a lot better. For now, they say 2024 is looking to be a great year for Sony in gaming, thanks to highly anticipated games such as Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Rise of the Ronin, and Silent Hill 2 Remake, which are sure to boost the PlayStation 5 Slim sales further in the coming weeks. But they don't believe it's going to be enough in order to, satisfy and break even with the R&D costs of this. So if they don't, this could put a real, negative dampener on the actual PS5 Pro. If they could outright just write it off. But also when it comes to the PlayStation 6, we may be seeing a weaker version of that coming in the future. And well, folks, that's the video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Is Sony going to release the PS5 Pro knowing that the PS5 Slim isn't even going to break even with the R&D costs? Is it even advisable for them to go with the PS5 Pro? Will the PS5 6 even come out as an even more powerful console? Then again, will the next Xbox come out as an even more powerful console, or are they going to start reining it in? Or is the Microsoft approach of having the Series S as an entry-level console and the Series X as a, mid-tier, higher-end console the right approach? Therefore, it's catering for both markets, so those people that can't afford the Series X can easily go for the Series S as an entry platform and still enjoy Xbox games, get onto that Game Pass subscription, and, bring in revenue for Microsoft, covering the R&D costs from all angles? Let me know in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I'll see you later in the stream, where we will be discussing this and hopefully getting a number of you onto the stream to discuss this point, as this will probably be the main topic of discussion. Right, that's it. Thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one.